Alright, I'm going to do a short tutorial on how to use the Yaesu FT-450, some basic operations and things you just should know. So here, to turn it on, you hold this button down. You can see we're on 20 meters currently. I turn the volume down so it's not disruptful. On this radio, it has several features, like the filtering system right here. You can see the line of filtering from the antenna across right here. Shows you the status of your attenuator, your IPO, your roofing filters, notch band, and gain control. You can also see if the tuner is on right here. If this light is on, the tuner isn't active. If you touch the tuner button once, it takes the tuner out of the line. So if your antenna is resonant exactly where you're at, you can turn off the tuner. If you need to tune, however, on anything, you can hold down the tune button, or if you're just turning the tuner on, tap it once if you've already tuned for that frequency. Right here, I can hear somebody on frequency, so I'm not going to mess with that. I want to tune over top of them. I'm currently on a 20 meter vertical. There's a lot of people on here today. Let's find somewhere where nobody's at. Alright, there's a way to set up this voice CS button to act as a carrier, a simple low power carrier to test your SWR. I've got the meter set on SWR here. I can tap it here to see where my SWR is. So I've got about 2.5 to 3, between about 2.5. So now I want to tune this antenna to get the SWR down to 1. So I'll push and hold the tune button. Now if I push this again, I can see my SWR went down to 1. So now I'm ready to talk on the radio. Let's go find a quick frequency where somebody's at, and we'll use the filters. So you see I'm using the DSP select knob. If nothing is selected here, you can go 1 megahertz at a time here. If you're using the dial, this dial is a little smaller, so I like to use the fast button with the dial, so it moves a little quicker. We have 14300 here, which is usually, I think, the sailing net, but we're not going to check in there. So let's go down. I do have IPO off. I'm going to turn that off. Pushing the IPO, ATT IPO operates both ATT and IPO. So if you want to operate those one at a time, you can get all modes here. I like to turn everything off and my RF gain all the way open while I'm looking for stations, so I can hear the loudest station coming through, and I don't accidentally attenuate anything. There we go. Alright, so we've got somebody talking here. So let's try to make them a little clearer. The first thing I'll do, I'll look at the SWR meter, which is actually showing us our signal right here. While it's not transmitting, it shows your signal strength. So we've got at least a 9, sometimes a plus 20. That means we can turn up the RF squelch or RF gain, which is set down here. We can scoot it up until the point where that radio signal just comes above it. We're only listening for this strong guy at the moment, so we'll set it up here.
Okay, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Not very strong of it.
So that gets rid of some static.
But I am hearing you. But I'm on station B today. I'm not on the big station. I'm on the little station, man. But I am hearing you.
So if you want to further filter this, if you had a very soft station, you can use the DSP here, and it will cycle through the different settings each time you push it. The shift button is always here to move the shift at the bottom and shift your frequency up and down, and listen more on the top end or the bottom end of the band, depending on which way you turn it.
have to go ahead and get that output in line, man. Play around with that thing a little bit. But all right.
So if you were trying to tune out some noise, you can use that shift.
Later on, I think you said you was going to dinner, not for sure.
We can also use the width.
Enjoy it. We'll catch you next time around then, over.
We have a contour. Contour has two different modes. It can either nullify a small area, or if you touch and hold it, it will switch to amplify a small area.
Yeah, W1TL. Go ahead, sir.
And it will change the way that we sound here.
Good evening, Marvin. Man, it's kind of strange hearing you down here, but you're stroking well in Memphis.
There we go. So this guy sounds like he's from Memphis.
Well, you ain't doing bad up this way, sir.
We bumped him up a little bit.
Hey, Curtis, I'm on Station B. I gotta make sure.
Let's go down here to digital noise reduction.
No, ain't nobody riding your back, man.
If you have a lot of fuzz, you can add more of this. It will muffle the sound, but it gets rid of a lot of the static peaks.
We talked to Pete 2 minutes ago, and we just fell asleep, man. Kind of a little bit tired, but
Hear the difference?
my daughter's down there.
Push the button to turn it back off.
I guess I'll go down there and get ready, but she's just about 20.
If we had a signal inside here that was causing extra noise, some maybe CW work or one of those obnoxious noise that's just hanging in one spot, but you really want to work a station, you can use this notch filter right here, and you can scoot the notch to different portions of the audio and cut out whatever falls in between that notch.
We ain't got no turbines here.
And you press again to turn it off. So these guys sound pretty good. Let's see if we can find somebody who's weaker. Alright, we've got some station here. It's a little bit soft. He's only getting up here to about a 3. So we can't do much RF gain. We can try the IPO by itself, but that doesn't always help for a weak signal. But we can bring this contour up and make him a little more punchy. We can also take some noise reduction in there. Don't hear him in there now. A lot of times we can't hear both sides of this conversation. You only hear one of them, depending on where he's talking to. We'll go ahead and talk about another feature. If you have a lot of power line noise, you can use notch band, or if you have something like me where I have an electric fence for my animals in the back, sometimes that noise, I'll hear it tapping on a band, and you can hit this notch band button. It will show right here that it's on or off, and it will get rid of some of that noise. Alright, so here's an example of some noise. PRM going on. CQ, he's calling CQ, but it's hard to hear. There we go. That notch, we'll tune it to the worst offender. That got rid of most of that. Let's make it get thinner. Well, let's get rid of this too for now. There we go. You can just play with these and try to get it just right. Wait till he comes back on.
little bit. Copy.
There we go. I think we about got a good spot to make a call. Of course, I haven't tuned it yet.
Yeah, where are you?
So let me do a quick check here. Fast off. I'm gonna go down a couple steps. Tune. And we pulled him out of nothing in there. So let's see what happens. Well, the band kind of faded out on us a little bit because it's the end of the day. So 17 meters isn't too good when the sun goes down, but it was kind of the last pickings. So time to move to 20 meters or 40 meters. 20 meters is close to done too. You can change your meter by pressing this button here. So we have power output, ALC, or SWR. I usually leave it on SWR. That's usually what I'm concerned with. So right now I'm on a different band. I'm on what, 17 meters? So this band actually is tuning really well already. Now see the difference. This is without the tuner off, or with the tuner off. I've turned it off. If I push my keyer button here, we got about 2.5. If I turn my tuner back on and the light comes on, I'm down to a 1 now. So I use this button most of the time to do my tuning or checking, as long as you're not having somebody on frequency. This will make a tone on their side, so they'll hear you making a tone just like you're tuning. So you don't want to sit there with this button down tuning over top of people, nor do you want to use this tune over top of people. Once you find a QSO, somebody talking, if you wanted to talk to this, you would not tune on top of that. You'd want to walk it up a little ways and get out of the way, and then tune, and then walk it back down. I think that was where they were at. Another feature this radio has, it has a clarifier built in. So if you have a contest station or a very popular station that wants to work somebody, a lot of times they will listen 5 up or 5 down. So let's pretend that this person on 14205 was actually taking calls on 14210, but he's listening on 14205. We would move up to 14210 after making sure we're tuned and ready to call. Then we'd hit our clarifier button and we would dial him down to 14205. So now we will be listening at 14205, but transmitting at 14210 like a repeater shift. See the negative offset here. A lot of stations do this. If you hear just call outs on one station and nobody responding, look 5 up or 5 down and you'll usually find them there, and then use this clarifier split to operate him like a repeater. So right now if I transmit, I'm actually on 210. They won't hear me change. So those are some of the good features of this radio. It also has a CW beacon. You can program 3 different lines of beacon code in there and let it talk on its own if you're not very good at CW, or if you just want to put out a message. You can use the menu by holding the F button and going into the menu. If you want to change the power output, you hold the F button and go to the RF power setting on the menu. You rotate the DSP select to choose menu items. Press the DSP select button in, and then you can change your power here or whatever your other setting is. Hold the F button to get back out. And that's the main operations of this. So another feature that this radio has is a memory. You can push this button to enter memory mode. So there's where we're at our clarifier. We can get rid of that clarifier by pressing clarifier. If we want to go to memories, I've got them stored in here. Just like a regular 2 meter, it has a VM button, a VFO, or memory. If you go to the memories, on this one, I've got several things programmed. If this button doesn't rotate the memories, it's because you've got something selected over here. So make sure nothing's selected. Now we can rotate through the memories. I've got some CB frequencies programmed in here. I've never had the need to use them. There's some people there though. I've never found that crowd very friendly or inviting, but I put them in here just in case for emergencies. But I've also got the 60 meter band programmed in here, which has 5 channels, and your maximum effective radiated power should be 100 watts, which without a high gain antenna should be where this radio sits. And it's channelized so you can move by channel. This radio doesn't have a normal 60 meter band programmed in, so that's why I put them in the memory. So if you want to use 60 meters, just hit the memory button, find your frequency that you'd like here. You're going to have to tune, and hopefully not on top of anybody. So then you tune your antenna for it and select which channel you want. So that's how you can get to the 60 meters. The only other things I have programmed in here was a repeater, FM repeater that I had here on the 6 meters, and some shortwave broadcast stations that I like to listen to at night.